Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Sara Jackson and I'm the Director of Nutrition at the Optimum Health Clinic. And I'm really happy today to be talking with Erik, who's actually one of my clients that I've been working with in the nutrition department since August of 2020. Erik's also worked with our psychology department through his really inspirational journey that he's worked extremely hard on and that he's been good enough to share with us all today. Welcome, Erik. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Sarah. Lovely to be here.
So in today's community story, we're going to look at your journey with CFS-ME and look at all the multiple factors in your health journey over the years, which includes a list of things from Lyme to digestive dysfunction and ultimately mycotoxins that we have been working on over the years to bring you to the much improved health state that you find yourself in today. We'll also look at some lifestyle factors and what for you have been the sort of breakthrough moments so that we can help to inspire some more of our fatigue-related community. So Erik, could we start with a little bit of information around the history and the onset of the illness for you? You know, what was happening in your life when this started?
Sure. The starting point was in 2015, I had Lyme disease and also then antibiotics to fight that Lyme disease. And then I had a period of, I also had a really severe back injury and inflammation in my back. I was out traveling actually. And then in India, I also had a parasite and as well as antibiotics for that. And that's when I started to feel just in the body that there was something shifting. I started to feel like I had like an ongoing cold regularly. And just overall felt like my energy levels were low. And, but that was a period in my life where I also I'd started a new business venture and was really excited about that and a new project. So I was working a lot. I was working 60-hour weeks, some weeks, and just overall it was because I was really excited about it and it was something that brought me a lot of energy and it was lots of fun. So this was in 2016. I just spent a lot of time on my computer, so I didn't really listen so much to the signals that my body was sending. I did start to look at go to the doctor and see if there was anything that they could find, but they couldn't find anything in their tests. And I also started with some alternative medicine but they're basically I just had maybe about a year and a half of feeling quite ill with these flu-like symptoms, a bit like having a cold, having a flu, and low energy. But I sort of pushed through and just focused on work and worked a lot. And then it came to 2017, the summer of 2017, where I had like a proper crash where my body just shut down and I just needed lots of rest. And yeah, it was basically that point where it was more like it was very clear that it was just something that wasn't really right in my body.
Yeah, I'm sure that that's a story that resonates with a lot of people, you know, pushing too hard, not listening to the body, also not having that awareness, because part of this journey is learning that awareness and the acceptance along the way, isn't it? And then what brought you to the Optimum Health Clinic?
Well, so for that, so then we're at 2017, summer 2017. That was a really rough period because I was a lot of the time just spent in bed, maybe like 3 to 4 days a week was in bed, and the days that I had some energy, I was barely just getting around, just doing what was needed, but it was a very rough time physically, and I started doing some work with because at that point actually I googled sort of my symptoms and found that the ME CFS was one of the things that came up. So I actually spoke to my doctor about that, but they felt at that point like we didn't pursue it in Sweden, especially. It's there's been a lot of stigma around ME CFS, and there's a lot of just not there's a lot of misunderstanding and even just thinking that there's no way to resolve this, there's no way to do anything about it. So the suggestion I had was to not sort of pursue that diagnosis because it wouldn't help in any way. And so I did find some alternative medicine support that was helpful. I could start to see like shifting out of that crash phase, that really severe like bedbound state, into being able to do some more activity and having also less symptoms. So I've worked with a few different practitioners over, it would be about 2.5 years. And saw some results from that. Like it's my health overall stabilized and I was better. And there were periods where I was feeling much better. But there was a lot of like crash and, boom and bust. Like it was a lot of ups and downs, and just overall, just a bit all over the place, with periods of highs, but also periods of lows. And I was still unsure whether it was ME CFS, and so it's all a bit vague. So that's 2017, 2018, 2019, and then I was actually out traveling 2020. I was in India when COVID hit, and most likely I caught COVID on the way back to Sweden. And then this was before there was testing everywhere, but I had the symptoms, like the specific symptoms for COVID, and then also in the summer of 2020 I got really worse when I was out traveling, and so that meant that I went into another crash period similar to the one in 2017, where I was just bedbound for most of the time, like 4 days a week, 5 days a week, lying in bed, and like the symptoms were really severe. So that led me to actually searching. I think it was on like among podcasts, I was searching for ME CFS because I was still like, this must be ME. It all makes sense when I looked at all the symptoms. So I found the Optimum Health Clinic, and this was also actually the point. At that time, I'd actually I got the diagnosis of ME CFS from my doctor in Sweden. So it ended up, I pursued that diagnosis because I really wanted to know what it was. So I had that diagnosis, and I found the OHC at that point, where it was like, I really need I really want to resolve this.
That's something that I'm sure will resonate as well, that, it can take time to get that diagnosis. So it took you a couple of years of pushing to get the diagnosis, and, you doing the research yourself. It's a real shame that more support wasn't available for you at that time.
Yeah.
And so then you came to us, and I know that you started off doing the 90-day program, and you worked on the psychology element, as well as us beginning our work together on the nutrition story.
Yeah. So I started off with a 90-day program. We did that online just because of COVID, which was also very helpful for me. Not being like, it would have been a big thing to travel from Sweden, and just everything around that. So it was actually really supportive to be able to do it all online. And so it was very helpful to lay the foundations in that way. Like I from the 90-day program, I got really an understanding of how ME, what ME is, what ME does to the body. Just like that kind of understanding was really helpful for me to navigate and have a map just of how it works and what is supportive and how I can support the body and so that was one of the things that was really helpful. The other part I would say was this concept of bouncing the boundaries. Basically, because I'd been all over the place with whenever I had energy, I spent that energy and just could do exercise just because I felt like I had more energy, and bouncing the boundaries and finding your baseline. These concepts were really helpful to sort of take me back to a level that I actually could handle, that I was able to live everyday life without crashing, even though that was, it was very challenging because it was way less than I was used to doing, like, because I had been doing lots of things, but again, that came with all the crashes all the time. So now instead I went back to just a level that was much lower than before, but that meant that so to explain this concept, basically then adding one thing at a time to see, bouncing the boundaries to see what I can do without crashing, and just slowly adding things over time. It was very challenging to do so much less, but it was very rewarding to start to find that I could actually have a foundation that wasn't where I didn't crash generally, and whenever I had a crash, I would know usually why that was.
Yeah, and you had to pull right back from work and all the other things that you were doing in your life, and I can imagine that was very, very difficult at the time to have to change your life in so many ways.
Yeah, for sure. I love working. I've been I've run my own business, and I'm also involved as a volunteer in an organization that I'm very passionate about. So I love using my energy and my skills and strengths, gifts, and talents to contribute to the world. So it was challenging, and it is challenging to find myself in a position where I can't do much and need to rest and just that sense of just wanting to do more and wanting to contribute and be out in the world, but then also I'd really committed to doing this. Like I considered it before joining the 90-day program and before taking on the support. I really committed to wanting to follow the instructions and just and carry everything out to be able to see the results. So it was that commitment that also led me through to actually implementing everything.
And I think that commitment and the trust in the process that you've always had from day one with me has really, really been so integral to our therapeutic relationship. We've had a real partnership over the last few years, and we've worked really well together. And I've known that you would always do what you could within your energy envelope. And it certainly hasn't been plain sailing, and we've had lots of ups and downs, which comes with the territory with fatigue-related conditions. But I really do firmly agree with you that I think your commitment and your determination from the beginning has been so important and so key to you getting now the amazing success and progress that you've had. Maybe we can spend a minute just doing a brief overview of what we've been looking at in terms of your nutrition journey, because when you came to me, as you say, you'd been working with a few other practitioners. We knew that Lyme was still there and that was something that we'd probably need to tackle. But as with the OHC approach, we take it very systematically, and we understand that when you're in that crash stage, you are very much in stage 1, bedbound, etc., that we have limits on how much you can do within that energy envelope. So we really did work on those foundation elements. We worked on correcting the digestive dysfunction that you was really quite key at the beginning, because that's very, very important, obviously, that we can make sure that the absorption and assimilation and any of those red flags that were going on within the GI tract and your gut microbiome were resolved. So we started off doing the stool test pretty much straight away, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that really helped to then, I think you did start to see some improvements slowly from the work that we did to support that gut protocol. And then pretty soon after, we kind of hit on the mycotoxin and the mold picture, didn't we? Which has been very sort of key to your health journey with us.
Yeah, I think it was almost half a year of just laying the foundations of changing the diet and introducing different things that would more just lay the foundation. And I found that was very supportive. Just I could notice difference with that already. The both just the supplements, but also adding more, changing the diet and adding more vegetables and adding some specific things that were really, I could see the results from. So yeah, that was super helpful.
I might mention now that we then decided to look at the mycotoxins, and we did a mycotoxin test because we had those suspicions that there was some mold exposure and that was potentially contributing to your symptoms. And thank you, Erik, for being so kind to share some of those key results on the test, which we're just going to bring up now, so then we can see what the levels were like. So we really had extremely high levels of a particular mycotoxin, mycophenolic acid, which was measuring at sort of 3,000, and the reference range was below 37.4. So we could really see that this was a significant result and that this was playing a big part in your symptoms. And it's important to say that this is work that takes time, and it's slow, and it's causing a lot of shifts in the body. So everything has to be in place. We have to work through it systematically in the right order to start bringing in a mycotoxin protocol, and it does take time, doesn't it? What did you find with the sort of highs and lows with all of that work that we've spent, probably a year and a half working on?
Well, it's I think just seeing a gradual shift, like seeing the results step by step, has been really helpful in just knowing that it's just a matter of taking or just following the instructions and seeing the results. So I think that commitment that I made very early on was very helpful in just continuing on with my day-to-day, because I feel like a lot of this is like the initial few months, there was a lot to learn and a lot to just put in place with new routines and all of that. But when that was sort of in place, it was more just doing the things day to day as a part of my day-to-day routine. I must be doing 20, 30 things every day that are part of my program and protocol, but I don't really think about it because I've set up like alarm reminders when to take different supplements. I have these routines that are in my day to day. So I would say that from the point that everything was sort of in place, the protocol was in place, I've just carried out and done the things and then carried on with my life doing the things that I love. And of course there are periods where it's like the results aren't coming quickly, or there's crashes. I must say now it's been almost a year since I've had a crash, but there's like adding a new supplement, for example, and then having like side effects from that, having a crash from that, and then taking that information and again going back to to the baseline and bouncing the boundaries, I could really see what was, that I hadn't made any other changes than adding the supplements. So then that meant that we could bring that back to a lower dosage and then start to add it more slowly. So I found, again, like this systematic approach. That's how a lot of my mind works. So it's been it's been really helpful. I remember hearing in the beginning, like, to use your strengths, that you can use your strengths. I have very much an achiever personality, and I have also very much, I'm very systematic. And when I commit to something, I sort of just go at it step by step, no matter what comes up, because I can see the long-term goal, and I'm working towards that. So that I found was just very helpful in my approach here as well. I have an app called Bearable, which I've used since day one, which is basically every day I add like what my energy levels are, and also what the symptoms were for that day, and what I did. And then that data that added up, all the statistics, were really helpful in actually knowing, like, seeing the results also in sort of black and white, more than just the feeling of whether it's going well or not. So that's been super helpful for me to just have sort of see the graphs and actually see everything unfolding, and seeing how it's going on a more of a like zoomed out perspective, seeing like the overview and seeing the progress in that way.
We can actually show in the video a little screen grab of the Bearable app, so people can have a sense of how that improvement kind of looks on paper. And I can certainly say that that's really helped our relationship and helped our consultations, because we've been able to go by that data. And certainly from your point of view, I can see that's so motivational and helps you keep going when you can see the numbers come down, the symptom averages, which, yeah, we can see here if we're looking at the screen grab starting in September 2020. You had 0 symptom-free days, and we were now looking at only 6 symptom. So where are you now? So in June,
now June, I think it was this June, I had 22 symptom-free days, and I think I don't have it up, but I think it's gone from like symptoms, average symptoms was something like around 5-ish, I think, when I started, and now we're down to 0.3. And for the energy average, it went from, I think, 5.9 when I started up to now it's 7.4. So it's, and I mean, I think the symptoms is very clear, like that's a radical change, but I will also just want to say the difference between 5.9 in energy average and 7.4 is just like, it's a vastly different day-to-day experience of having energy, not having any crashes, being able to participate in life, not feeling like my health is hindering participating in day-to-day activities, and it will be interesting to see how it all unfolds and what a 9 is. But feeling like an 8 for me, that's like a great day of having good energy throughout the day, and also in the evening, continuing to have that good energy, and being able to not think about how much I can do, and just carrying on. So yeah, it's fantastic to see that progress.
Yeah, and it is just a testament to all of your hard work and your dedication to your health, and taking on board all of the recommendations along the steps. So that brings us to the retest for your mycotoxins, where we've seen significant improvements in the mycophenolic acid, which has come down by about 80% from 3005 to 526, and where we had citrulline in your March test at 130, which we can see now on the test results, that has come down to 0. So that's a huge, huge, huge progress and testament to all the hard work and persisting with the mycotoxin protocol that we have been doing and that we will continue. You know, this carries on into the future. We're not quite there yet, but we've seen a huge improvement, and you've obviously seen that in terms of your symptoms. So how do you feel looking at that test result now?
I mean, it's fantastic. I think it's about 80% reduction in that for that particular one, and there was another that is completely gone. So it's fantastic, and it's great to see that it reflects, because I've seen the progress in terms of my energy levels and also just decreased symptoms. So it's also just good to get it sort of black on white and see that it's working and it's doing its thing, and so it's fantastic to. It's also, I think this is kind of crazy, but when you have ME, it's because of that there's really not any kind of test for, you know, there's not like one test that you can do to see do you have it or not. It's the diagnosis is based on just checking for all the other things that you could have, and then if you have certain criteria, then you can get that diagnosis, ME/CFS. So it was actually, it can sound a bit strange, but actually when I got the mycotoxin results and seeing that there's actually something that you sort of like, this is one of the things that contributing to me not feeling well. It was quite it was actually something that I appreciated, just knowing that it was something that we could practically work with. And that's also a part of the things that I really appreciate with your approach, the functional medicine approach, to actually use testing as a part of just getting to understand what it is in the body that's not fully working. I know that would sound simple in some ways, but in conventional medicine at this point, there isn't that understanding of what kind of tests that you can do, and there isn't that that knowledge isn't there of like what you can look at to what could be underlying in this illness. The suggestion that I got was basically, you're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life, and it's we don't know what to do about this. So you can find ways to manage, but there's no solution to getting well. So that's a radical difference from what the OHC can do. It's just a different perspective, obviously.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that's something that lots of our fatigue-related community will have heard before, and it's extremely disheartening. And we can see that it's not based on fact. There is a lot we can do, and we're hoping that with the RCT that we're doing as a clinic, that we'll be able to inform that wider opinion. So we're working hard and trying to change that. But I'm just so pleased that you found us.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that I know that they're doing the best that they can with the knowledge that is there. So I'm also really grateful that there be that the OHC is approaching, working to get this as a part of just public health care, so it can be available to more people, because I feel like the Swedish healthcare system is fantastic in so many ways, and then there are things that where there's more that can be done, and where there's more knowledge to be had and more experience to be had. So I'm really happy that the OHC is pioneering that aspect of healthcare, and yet I'm also just very grateful for the healthcare system in Sweden and for everything that they do, because they have also been very helpful, actually, since I discovered the OHC, they've been really supportive with doing blood tests and other aspects that has been really helpful. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it's important to say that this is a collaborative effort. The OHC isn't, it can't be the answer for everything. So we need to have collaborative effort with other people in your medical team. So it's brilliant that we've had that support from your GPs, and we've been able to get the blood tests, which have really helped us with the data and with understanding your biochemistry along the way. That's really propelled your journey. Can I ask about other interventions and other avenues that you've explored along your health journey, Erik?
Yeah, I feel like a big part of the results that I see are also just from my meditation practice. I've been a meditation practitioner for, I think it's coming to 15 years now, and so it's because a big part of the illness is it's very challenging, just in terms of everything that comes up around how it hinders life and how like the challenging aspects of it, and obviously like being bedbound and not being able to do the things that you want to do. And all of this is just it's a very challenging illness. Like it's super challenging to have the body be not function, I mean, ultimately, and not being able to participate in life, and also even with rest, sometimes you can't even, you just need to rest basically, and so I found that my meditation practice has been supportive in several ways. So one aspect is just that being able to cope or cope, even to just thrive in when things are challenging, like being able to actually have fulfillment and relaxation and life satisfaction, even with not feeling well. So I feel like that my practice, and this is a meditation practice called Short Moments, and it's a part of it's actually a meditation practice that has it's a part of the Dzogchen lineage, and it's a practice that's been around since over, I think it's 15,000 years. So it's from Tibet and India and that period, and that part of the world, and this Short Moments practice and meditation is just it's just something that has brought me a sense of peace and relaxation and fulfillment and just life satisfaction in the midst of all of it, all the thoughts and emotions and sensation that's going on in the body, and then being able to enjoy life anyway, and being able to see to live life to the fullest, even though I can't do all of these things. So I found that has been just carried me through. It's something that has just to have like an enjoyment and great cheer that is underlying, even though all the things are going on. So that is one aspect of it, and also practically to be able to rest the body and mind, because a lot of this illness, well, just the nervous system and everything that's going on in the body, to just have that practice to be able to relax and rest has been so helpful, to also just have to support the body practically, and I was very grateful also because the OHC, you have there's many different practices that can be done in the OHC, but the foundation of relaxation, I had that already with me, and could continue to practice that, and just saw great results from that. So yeah, it's I also appreciate just the openness from the OHC and the understanding the fundamentals of what it is that and then allowing, I mean, just for my own sake, to be able to continue my own practice and take on the parts that have been supportive, to put that all together. And yeah, no, so I can't stress enough how essential my meditation practice has been for my support, for my journey. And I also just wanted to mention, in terms of like the commitment and all of these aspects, I feel like that has also, because that's something that I have also, it is part of my disposition, but it's also something that I have developed over the years of being a meditation practitioner, of just like showing up and practicing and following instructions and all of these things of just showing up no matter what's going on. All of these things, taking a commitment to practice each day and in each moment is just a very, that disposition I've learned over the years. And then I could also, I could apply that to the other, to the nutritional side of things as well, and just like the exercise and all of those things. So I found that my practice has been supportive in that way as well. And it's also just beautiful, I find, to not need to wait for, I'm not dependent on having a physical, like healthy body to have well-being. Then obviously there's enjoyment in being able to do things, but ultimately to find that well-being, not in my perfect health, but in finding that in my meditation practice and just in being in life.
I think that's such a meaningful insight. Thank you so much for being so honest and sharing that. And of course, that's something that anyone that's watching could start to implement. They could start doing this. It doesn't cost anything. You could find amazing YouTube videos. We've got lots of support on our social media pages to link you to some really useful meditation. And as you said, that's really helped our work together, because being in the rest and digest state in terms of your nervous system has allowed the work that we've done to be more effective. So I actually believe that is also a really, really key element. And of course, it's a big part of the OHC approach, because it helps on so many different levels. And it's something that you can start small and slow with, isn't it? You don't have to do very long practices. If you're someone in stage 1, you can start with just some very short, very restorative meditations and build up from there. So thank you so much for bringing that up, because I think I agree with you. I think it's been a very important and pivotal part of your health journey.
And I also wanted to mention, thank you. And I also wanted to mention that this particular practice that I'm doing is also something that you can practice throughout the day without actually sitting practice. So it's super helpful. And that's also just something that has been so powerful to practice throughout the day while going about my life and my day-to-day activities. So it's not something, even though I also have a sitting practice, this is also something that's just available throughout the day. So it's fantastic in that way.
Thank you so much. So that brings us to what your day-to-day life is looking like now. I know that you've mentioned to me that you feel almost symptom-free now. I think it'd be lovely if you could share a little bit about what life is looking like now on the other side of the health journey. We're not quite there yet, but we've come a massive way. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so now I'm working and also serving, volunteering. I would say like 25 to 30 hours a week. And also when I have that, I would say it's also quite an ideal time for me, because I don't want to be working full time. I actually enjoy having time for other things. So this is sort of a level where I really feel it's good and enough for me. And I also just to be able, to have good energy throughout that, being able to have meetings and just carry on. And also gradually, I feel like it's like I'm I'm not needing to think so much about, I still plan my days so that I don't, for example, wouldn't have like 4 meetings in a row. That would be a bit too challenging. So I still like plan the days so that I know that I won't have energy dips but the day to days, yeah. So I'm working and I walk about 10,000 steps a day. I have a good walk in the morning and then also in the afternoon. I do about 15 minutes of exercise, both yoga and high intensity interval training. Not every day, but many days. And yeah, I'm currently in the United States. I'm here. We have there's a meditation center here that I'm visiting, and just being able to travel and being able to be out in the world and participate in that way and contribute also with volunteer work and service is fantastic. And I'm working together with a business partner, also the company called Super, and we're developing sustainability strategies and action plans for companies. So we have an online program that we offer for that, and it's something also that I really love, like entrepreneurship, communication, and the fundamentals of it all is contributing to the world and serving the world in different ways. So I feel like this. That's something that I loved also and was really focused on before getting ill, and continued actually. I've continued it throughout the years of my illness, and I had the fortune of actually being able to continue to work. But then it is a major difference with just how much I can do now, and also just not having those crashes, having stable energy overall, and having a good energy level overall, and not having symptoms. So, and also I'm active, like an active family and social life, and being with friends here. Just participating in life, being an active participant and enjoying life. So yeah, it's fantastic.
I couldn't congratulate you more on the amazing health journey that you've had, so that you can now show up and contribute to the world in such a meaningful and beautiful way. I've got a big question for you. So what would you say to yourself at the beginning of this journey?
So I think firstly, I think it would be the meditation, to just keep the focus on practicing, because that gives endless benefits beyond just supporting the body. It's actually just the foundation for my life, and just something that there's foundational for well-being and life satisfaction, no matter what happens with the body, because it's obviously it's deteriorating over time anyway. So just having that primary focus. Then I would say follow the instructions. Committing to and following the instructions. I feel like that's something that has supported me a lot. You can have all kinds of thoughts and emotions around what needs to be done and all of that, but I find that just committing to actually doing what's suggested. I always find in the beginning to see these recovery stories, listen to other people who've gone through the process, and then use that as also a to sort of lean on others as a way to also just trust that the results can come if I just follow the process, if I just follow the instructions, do it step by step. So committing to that and then just carrying out. And I find making things into a routine is just super supportive. So I don't every day have to think about what to do or have to, consider what should I do today. Like these kinds of reminders and alarms and just things that means that I don't have to think about it. I just do it, as a part, just like I brush my teeth every day or tie my shoes when I'm going out. I just do it without needing to think about it. So that was super supportive, or that's something that I would suggest. And then maybe those are the main things. I would also just there's something with the step by step. It's like you can only, and I think that also just goes back to the practice and the meditation practice of like, you can only just do what needs to be done right now. It's great to, with all the plans and knowing what needs to be done, but then it's just a matter of actually doing what's right there right now, and just taking it one moment at a time and one day at a time. That is just super supportive to not get ahead of myself in any way, and just focus on what's right here, right now.
Yeah, and I think your health journey has been a perfect example of us working together on those step by steps. No matter how long it takes, we will get there, but we need to work at the pace of your body, how you react to the supplements and each element of the protocols along the way. So that's such useful advice.
I would also, one more thing actually is to seek support, and to be open to take on support, because I've found that with the OHC, it's just been so helpful. I love that, of not needing to think about things like, should I do this? Should I do that? Googling things, that was a part of my journey as well in the beginning of a period of where I just Googled so many things and tried to find solutions. And that is just so draining of the energy and just like not knowing. So you try a bit of this, you puzzle it all together into something that it's a bit of a Frankenstein's monster, and not knowing whether that will lead to results. So I really found it supportive and helpful to, again, going back to the commitment and seeking out support and just following the instructions, that I've been able to write to you. There are considerations, new things coming up, or something's not working, or there's side effects. And just have that plan as well, touching in like every 3 months, 2-3 months, and having that follow up and knowing like, from here until that point, I just need to follow those instructions. And if there's any side effects or anything that is not working, I'll be in touch and we can consider and change things. So just it's so very helpful and so supportive to not need to guess my way, not need to be guessing, and also just getting your extensive knowledge and experience so I can just do what's needed and not need to think about it, like reducing that need to think and consider and reconsider and should I do this, should I do that. It's just so very helpful to have that support.
Amazing. Erik, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to share your story today and inspiring our fatigue-related community, because there'll be so many people out there in a similar boat to you, going through different elements of your journey, whether it was the highs, the lows, the beginning, the end point. I know that will resonate with so many people, because it's been a complex picture for you and come out the other side. And I can't wait to see what the next stages look like for you for the future, and what amazing things you're going to do in terms of helping people in the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. It's fantastic to share, even though I'm not fully recovered yet. It's also beautiful to share how, like, in the midst of it or towards the end of it, and to share how it's possible. And I know also from my experience in the beginning, it was really supportive for me to hear other people share how the results that they had, and to borrow their assurance in the process, and that it works. So it's just beautiful to give back in this way, and yeah, I hope that it has been supportive for those of you watching.
Thank you. And thank you so much for watching today. If you'd like to leave any comments, we'd love to hear about your story, which parts of Erik's story has resonated with you. And we hope that you'll try some meditation, which has been so key to Erik's journey. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.